Well, the good news is today, South Africa is officially off the United Kingdom's red list for travel as part of a number of destinations that the UK has cut from the list. The country's Transport Secretary, Grant Shapps, says that the change will officially take effect from today. Other countries that have been removed from the list include Ghana, India and Turkey. They will be treated as UK vaxxed passengers. Shapps says the measures mark the UK's next step as it continues to open up travel and provide stability for passengers. To gauge what impact the removal of the country from the UK's red list is, we are now joined by Liezl Gericke, who is the head of Middle East, Africa and South Asia at Virgin Atlantic. Great to have you. Welcome, Liezl.
Good morning, Leanne. It's so good to see you.
I remember we had a conversation, I don't know when it was, but it was just during the hard lockdown that South Africa was in, and we were talking about the halt to air travel. And here we are, whether it be a year and a half later, I'm not too sure when that was. When was the last time Virgin flew to the UK from South Africa?
So interestingly, we've actually been operating a daily service into Johannesburg every day, but we're carrying cargo and not so many passengers. From July, we started to operate passenger services 3 times a week. So very limited passengers, as you can well imagine, with the red list restriction in place and isolation on arrival in the UK being a major deterrent for travel. So the announcement of last Thursday evening is just phenomenal, and it comes at a great time. It's just before the southern summer, and so we obviously can't wait to welcome passengers back to South Africa, and obviously for South Africans to go back to the UK without being locked up in isolation in a hotel. Yeah,
this has been something I think that a lot of people have been waiting for, which has also come with its fair amount of controversy, because there's just been a talk of like, what's wrong with our vaccine? Surely we're good enough for you, and vice versa. And this is the conversation that has been had. But obviously it's put a big dampener, and it's been quite a hair-raising ride for you.
Been very difficult, and I think that the whole travel industry at large, whether you're an airline or a hotel group or even Airbnb or any part of the supply chain, it's been a very, very challenging time, and everyone who is coming out of the tail end of this has had to make very difficult decisions. So at Virgin we half the workforce that we were at the beginning of the pandemic. We've retired all the aircraft. We stopped operating out of Gatwick and now only operate out of Heathrow. So we've made difficult decisions to secure the survival of the airline. But obviously, when these announcements take place and travel restrictions relax, we finally can breathe. And so delighted to go back to a daily service out of Johannesburg and to relaunch Cape Town later this year.
Good. So let's talk logistics in all of this, because it just is, it spells so much. Tourism here in South Africa, people being able to finally visit family. The amount of people that I personally know that have been isolated from their family that lives overseas for so long, finally now getting the opportunity to visit each other. It's a big deal, and of course a lot of job creation that comes with us at the end of the day. So has your first flight left already? Has it opened up? Is it happening already?
So as I can tell you, when the rumors started to spill early last week that we were finally getting off the list, we started to see an immediate increase in bookings. And so this morning, when I looked at the latest statistics, the Joburg traffic, or London to Joburg traffic, is up week-on-weekend bookings by 577%. So to say that there's pent-up demand is probably not even quite the term to phrase it. So delighted, obviously, to see that bookings are coming in, and exactly as you say, people have been separated for over 9 months. The cost of isolation was so expensive and prohibitive. So we're starting to see the business come back. And like I said earlier, we are going to be moving into a daily service again. We are flying 3 per week passenger services at the moment, so we are seeing passengers already flying in. And a lot of what we're seeing in the booked, in these bookings that we've just taken in the last week is sort of the summer season, which is so desperately what we need in tourism. The UK is our number one tourism source market. More than 400,000 people would pre-pandemic come to South Africa on holiday. And up to May this year, we've seen 8,000. So this is huge, and we can see as the bookings are flooding in, it is definitely coming in over the December, January, February summer season, which is so needed for our tourism industry.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, I think that's the important part, is that we have seen here it's all around the world, but obviously focusing here on South African soil, places that literally have closed down, restaurants, hotels, all of these kind of things, and also business travel. That is something that I suppose that's going to be a different face altogether as well. But the tourism is what's needed in this country. So, I mean, in terms of, it's an important question, because I think a lot of people want to take advantage. But with this whole halting ticket prices, I think a lot of people are perhaps worried that now it's going to be exceptionally expensive, or is that not the case?
I invite you to book your ticket now, because the ticket prices are actually really competitive. So from an aviation perspective, we need to restart aviation. We need to give people confidence to rethink traveling again. And, initially the ticket prices are not going to be staggeringly expensive. I think I've looked at this morning, it's less than 9,000 Rand to fly to London on a direct flight on Virgin Atlantic. So I think that, you're going to find good deals now. And as the additional capacity start to come in, as we are doing, other airlines will do exactly the same thing, start to increase capacity. I think that, do yourself a favor, hop onto speak to your favorite travel agent, hop online and check out prices. But I think you'd be pleasantly surprised that it's not going to be staggeringly expensive.
Good. We're happy to hear that, so that, it will look more enticing to travelers. But now, obviously, the whole vaccine issue and traveling has become, something different to what we are used to. So we know that it's basically open only to vaccinated travelers. Is that the mandate that you as an airline have? Anybody that's vaccinated can travel. Anybody that's not vaccinated cannot travel. Is that the rule?
So I can clarify and demystify that for you a little bit. So as an airline, we would always comply with the regulations of the country that we fly to. So we don't enforce vaccination or non-vaccination. We comply with government regulation. So the UK have now last week announced that they will accept vaccinated passengers to arrive into the UK. And the vaccination from South Africa is perfectly fine. So there's no discrimination around where you've been vaccinated. So as long as you've been vaccinated, you have proof of vaccination. You can arrive into the UK without doing any pre-testing. So you don't have to do a pre-COVID test before departure. The only thing that you need to do is you need to take a test on day 2 on arrival in the UK, and you need to submit the result of that test, and you got to pre-book that before you travel. So it's become really simple. If you think of all the barriers that existed before, PCR test before departure, isolation on arrival, all of those things have now gone, but they don't discriminate against non-vaccinated passengers. So this is a positive. And what I do want to say is that it's maybe just a little bit more complicated. So if you're not vaccinated, you can still travel, but you will need to do your test prior to departure, and then you would need to do a day 2 and a day 8 test on arrival in the UK. So I think that, we are obviously seeing that countries are moving towards the vaccination is definitely going to become the norm. But at this point in time, if you're not vaccinated, and understanding that many countries haven't yet with speed rolled out complete vaccination. So there's many people who have not had a chance to get the vaccine. So they don't want to discriminate against those who are not vaccinated, but you will have less barriers to travel if you are vaccinated.
All right. I mean, that's some good advice, because I think people need that clarity. It's one thing hearing it coming from, different government role players, but operating in that space is quite important. A question that I think a lot of people may be asking, and certainly myself, I mean, if I ever, want to start opening up and traveling internationally, what about children? Because it's well and good that, I can travel, and an adult can travel. But, here in South Africa, for instance, children are not being vaccinated, anybody below 18. What is the protocol with children actually traveling on the airline?
So again, we will follow the advice from your destination that you're traveling to. So if you're flying to the UK or the US or wherever it is that you choose to go to, my advice to anyone who's planning to travel is to make sure that you read right up to the day of departure whatever that country's travel advice is and whatever restrictions they may have in place. So kids under 18 are exempt. But that may change. So I just want to be really, really clear that it's, at any point in time that may be not be the case down the line. So that this is the truth now, but down the line that there may be a change to that. So I think as families, it's a big decision for a big family to make the choice to fly. It's expensive. You've got your travel tickets, and then you've got to layer in all of the vaccination and testing pieces. So just check in advance. Make sure that you are completely up to speed with the destination that you're traveling to. So just to remind you, it's not the airline that enforces the regulations. It is where you're going to. So it's that country's regulations that we have to abide by.
Yeah, very important. I mean, you've got to do your homework before you go. The last thing you need to do is arrive in a country going for holidays and suddenly finding all of these costs or the fact that you can't even be let in. So, I mean, do your homework, even though you can book the ticket, but it's when you arrive at the destination that things may not work out as promised. I suppose, question to you as well is what is the demand looking like? I'm going to ask you again, just for a little bit more clarity from the UK to get to South Africa, because we've been speaking about the fact that we've lost a lot of tourists from the UK, one of our biggest visiting countries. What is the demand looking like? Are people a bit nervous to travel to South Africa? Are you seeing the uptake is happening, or is it, I suppose, a little bit nervous for now and you're hoping it'll pick up? What's it looking like?
So, I mean, the short answer is we've seen a massive surge in bookings in the last week. When we heard the rumours that finally South Africa may be removed off the red list by the end of the week, and we already saw some bookings coming in with confidence. So every day we were seeing record-breaking bookings come in. On Friday, of course, as we came off the list, it really surged. So week on week, the bookings between Johannesburg and London is up 577%. Literally thousands and thousands of bookings are coming in. And we do see this. I mean, I look after, obviously, a greater region within Virgin. I see that when countries move off a red list, there is an initial surge. And I think it's slightly different for South Africa. We have been on this red list for so long. 9.5 months has been a long, long time. There's a massive amount of pent-up demand. So really, really big volumes and increase. And as we've mentioned before, the UK is the number one source market for tourism to our country. And to have them fly and travel again is so needed for this industry. Over 400,000 people pre-pandemic from the UK would come to South Africa on holiday, and that was by May this year 8,000. So it's staggering amounts of passengers that we'll start to see coming back. It's a favourite destination for British travellers, and it's one that we definitely need and have lobbied very, very hard for to reopen. So just in the nick of time for summer, which is just amazing.
Amazing. Listen, I wish you the best of luck. I mean, this is it's a great relief for both sides and for businesses operating. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you for talking to us, and good luck, because it's going to be a busy time. And we hope that people just get the money they need.
Thank you, Leanne.
Absolute pleasure. Liezl Gericke is the head of Middle East Africa and South Asia, talking about at Virgin Atlantic, talking about the opening and South Africa being removed off that red list, and now people finally being able to travel between the UK and South Africa, something that we've been waiting for quite some time. So I'm sure everybody looking forward to that one. All right.